Hello, you're tuning into Đồng Nai Radio and Television Station. Coming first with local news. Information from Đồng Nai Department of Industry and Trade. Despite the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the province import-export sector still achieved positive results. Export growth was positive and trade surplus reached a high level compared to the same period last year. Specifically, the total import-export turnover in May 2021 is estimated at more than $3.8 billion, up 70% over the same period, in which export turnover reached more than $2 billion. Wood products, footwear, and textiles are still the main export items of Đồng Nai province. The main export markets are still the US, China, and Japan. With the above results, it is estimated that in the first 5 months of 2021, Đồng Nai's total import-export turnover will reach more than $17.5 billion, up 36.6% over the same period, in which export turnover reached $9.5 billion, up 32.9% over the same period. With the goal that by 2025, 80% of adults have a bank transaction account, many commercial banks have sought to simplify the procedure. Thanks to the development of technology, the account number can be selected according to the date of birth, the date of incorporation, or the correct phone number. In order to expand financial services, the State Bank also allows people to open accounts remotely without going to the bank via electronic authentication. By the end of the first quarter of 2021, there were more than 395 million transactions made on mobile phones, an increase of 78% over the same period in 2020. In recent days, religious and belief establishments in Đồng Nai province have made contributions to the COVID-19 vaccine fund. Quan Âm Monastery in Hòa An is a religious establishment with 285 monks and nuns that has closed according to the provincial directive on epidemic prevention. The monastery also responded to the call of the Provincial Fatherland Front Committee and the Central Buddhist Church not only to contribute to the prevention of COVID-19 in the province, but also to perform international obligations to help Cambodia fight the epidemic. Vinzak Pagoda, as soon as it received the direction of the Provincial People's Committee, issued a notice to stop all Buddhist activities at the temple. The temple also mobilized Buddhists and people to join hands to contribute to the COVID-19 vaccine fund. According to the executive board of the Provincial Buddhist Church, currently all more than 1,000 temples and institutes are well implementing the direction of the Provincial People's Committee. All monks and nuns in the province have not had any cases of COVID-19 yet or anyone subject to quarantine. U.S. President Joe Biden departs for Europe on June the 9th, starting his first foreign trip since taking office at the end of January. According to the schedule, President Biden will hold talks with British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on June the 10th to review the special relationship after the UK leaves the EU. In the next 3 days, also in the UK, President Biden attended the G7 summit with a focus on discussing COVID-19 vaccine diplomacy, trade and infrastructure reconstruction initiatives in developing countries that the US sees as a way to counter China's growing influence. At the end of the G7 summit, President Biden visited Britain's Queen Elizabeth before going to Brussels, Belgium, to hold talks with leaders of NATO and EU member countries. The overarching agenda is said to be those involving Russia and China. On June the 16th, President Biden will meet Russian President Vladimir Putin in Geneva, Switzerland. Today, the European Commission is proposing to create a digital green certificate to facilitate safe free movement inside the EU and the Schengen area from this summer during the COVID-19 pandemic. The adoption of digital green certificates involving European citizens received 546 votes in favor, 93 votes against, and 51 abstentions. These documents must be formally approved by the Council of Europe before coming into force on July the 1st. The certificate consists of 3 contents: a certificate of vaccination, a negative PCR test result, or proof of immunity after having contracted COVID-19, showing that the holder of this certificate does not spread the disease. To date, more than 1 million people in Europe have received the EU's digital certification of COVID. There are currently 9 EU countries that have issued this certification. That's all for the news today. Thank you for joining us and goodbye.